Welcome back to The Horror with Mike.
And Nate.
On this episode, we're going to do a special review of Insidious 3. I have not yet seen it, Nate has, and so I'm going to be kind of conducting a Q&A almost of it. Do you want to tell us a little bit about the movie, Nate?
Third installment in the Insidious franchise, which the first two were directed by James Wan, written by his longtime collaborator Leigh Whannell. Both fantastically successful, both, the first one critically and both of them commercially.
Right.
Leads to the inevitable third part. James Wan, of course, is busy with the Fast and the Furious movie.
Right.
So Whannell stepped up to make his directorial debut as well as writing and for the third time co-starring.
Right.
The first bad news is that this is a prequel. You know, a prequel isn't always bad, but a prequel is just a bad sign.
Right.
And because it's a prequel, I'm going to discuss the movie not really being that afraid of spoilers. Mild spoiler.
Mild, okay.
You know, particularly for the third one. And when I say like prequel spoilers, you know, the movie centers around the character actress Lin Shaye playing the medium from the first two movies.
Yeah, if you're a horror fan, you know her.
Right.
Interesting story. She's Bob Shaye's sister who ran New Line house that Freddie built. Anyway.
But she's in the first movie, and I won't give her status to the second movie, but she's in the first movie as a medium, so she's in this movie. Well, you know she's not going to die. You've got her bumbling comic relief associates in her ghost hunting business.
Right. Specs and Tucker. Who, what's his name, showed up in Mad Max. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You know, and Specs is played by Leigh Whannell.
Right.
They're in the first two movies, so you know nothing's going to happen. You know, so
right.
there are certain things that are
the problem.
Yeah, that are just off limits because you know what's going to happen. So this is basically just an unrelated previous case of the supernatural, a ghost that is haunting a young girl that brings these three people together, and they form the relationship that you see later on in the other Insidious movies.
Right.
And that's pretty much it. You know, it's sort of self-contained.
Okay.
Like, from a franchise perspective, I guess it's kind of smart because they could move it direct to DVD and do like 7 of them now.
Right.
You know, it's almost like an X-Files case of the week.
Right, which isn't so bad. Horror can mostly be... The reason I'm interested in watching it is for Leigh Whannell's directing. And it's basically set... Insidious movies tend to, and especially now that we're not dealing with the family, right, is set up the haunted house, set up the situation, and then scare us. Like, so we don't need a huge story, so that doesn't bother me too much. So is the scary stuff.
Well, you know what? It depends on how you define scary, because the guy goes nuts with jump scares. Like, I watch a lot of horror movies. I can't tell you the last one that I saw that had this many jump scares in it.
Okay.
That aside, I didn't feel there were any real scares in it. There was one moment, one image that was really unsettling. Later in the movie, they revisit that image, and going back to it sort of kills that magic.
Sure.
So the first time through, I was like, "Oh, holy shit, that was scary." And then later on, I'm like, "Oh, okay, you're showing it. You know, you're showing it full close up now and explaining it to me. And now that it's been explained, it's not scary."
Sure.
So, and as far as directing, it was a very professional debut.
Cool.
The movie overall didn't have the heart of the first one, which I like the personality and the actors of the first Insidious movie. The characters that it does use, other than Lin Shaye, aren't very impressive or memorable at all.
Right.
The villainous ghost this time around is very creepy until you realize that he's so creepy because he pretty much looks exactly like Dr. Satan from House of a Thousand Corpses.
I saw that in the preview. I was like, oh.
So, yeah, you know, Rob Zombie doesn't own that look. It's different enough, I guess, but still, I've seen it.
No,
before.
I saw. Yeah, I was like, yeah, he looks like Dr. Satan.
And there are a few scenes, as with every Insidious movie, set in the further.
Right. That's I don't care for that.
The realm of the ghosts. Well, this is where the difference between Whannell and James Wan really comes into play, because it doesn't look the same, and it doesn't look as good. Like, it's really noticeable. It's the visual style of the Further, and I don't feel it was intentional. Like, oh, it's a style choice. It looks different here. No, it fell down a little bit.
Okay. Did the movie feel bigger? Because it was a slightly bigger budget. $1.5 million. Second was $5 million. This was $10 million. Did it feel bigger, or?
It was a little more expansive.
Okay.
Instead of being a house, it's the girl being haunted is in an apartment building.
Right.
So they use the exterior, a little bit, and they do some bigger shots.
All right, cool. So
overall, it wasn't bad. It just wasn't good.
Okay.
So if the average on a 1 to 10 scale is 5, I'd give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
If you're a fan of the first two, then when it's available streaming, check it out. Why not?
Right.
You'll have some fun with it. A lot of people didn't like the second one, and I liked the second one more than most people.
Yeah, I didn't like the second one.
But even with that, this was a big... I think that even if you didn't really care for the second one, you're still probably going to think Insidious 3 is a step down.
Really? Damn.
So yeah, I'll give it a 5 out of 10, and this is really more out of just like professional admiration. Like, nobody did a bad job.
That's what... The only reason I would watch 3 after 2 is because I want to see if...
Yeah.
So yeah, just professional...
professional curiosity.
Yeah. And admiration for that kind of thing, but... Okay. Good
So
enough.
yeah, unfortunately, it's only playing in the theaters right now, and I got to advise you, if you want to see this movie, wait the 4 to 6 weeks it's going to take to hit video on demand, and check it out there.
All right. Well, all right. Sounds good. Well, I guess that pretty much covers us because, like I said, I did not watch it, but I will be doing my own review when it comes out on VOD. I will watch it. So, we will hit you back up then. Remember to hit us up on Twitter and Facebook at Frightflix. And then Nate's personal handle, which is NateFlix with
NateFlix with an X. Like Netflix, only a little bit better.
Ah, nice. And we'll catch you next time here on The Horror. See you later, guys.